Here we go. We can only pray to God that it's actually going to work. Here we go. We are hot.
I'm buried alive. Mothership has landed. Pirate Radio. Welcome to the jungle.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the broken down, low rent, sleazy, double greasy Pirate Radio Nut Hut Studios, it's time for the very first ever Southern.
CPR Street Gang, this is Almighty. Standing by, over. CPR Street Gang, this is Almighty. Standing by, over.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
clock's run out. Time's up.
Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken hearts, a smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
Happy New Year. My name's Jimmy. It's Monday night. We're going to be talking to William Ramsey about the global death cult. Dr. Rowe is here. Epic Journeyman's here. And the most important part, you're here. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of dudes talking to ourselves in the middle of the night on the internet. Into the Microcosm is on the air. Epic Journeyman. Are you there?
I am here.
Excellente. Well, man. Damn, I almost got hit in the head with a surfboard. Hang on a second here. I'm coming in hot on my Aftermath FM app, where you can find that anywhere you get apps. Anywhere you can find them, that's where it's going to be. Now, there's something going on here on the perimeter that I'm going to have to go take care of. But let me jump in here real quick. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first show of the new year, and I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. And obviously, by now, hopefully you've heard the news that Kev Baker passed away at 7:20 p.m. UK time yesterday, I guess it was. I mean, it's just, I've been going since yesterday, and I'm just kind of spun as far as the time frame is concerned, Epic Journeyman. But we got William Ramsey here tonight, first time with us here on Aftermath FM, and I think the Aftermath FM audience is going to appreciate what Mr. Ramsey has to bring to the table tonight. Now, Dr. Rowe, are you there? I do not hear him. He must not be there.
I hear him.
Oh, there.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go. Well, Dr. Rowe, welcome.
In the shadow.
It is the wild ride, and you snuck in here in your invisible unit tonight. I didn't see you. I didn't hear you. And that is stealth machine is working fine. And thanks for being here. Now, listen, you and Epic Journeyman, we're going to welcome in. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, William Ramsey. William Ramsey, welcome into the microcosm. Thanks for joining us tonight, brother.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah,
so Jimmy G.
Yeah, let's get you dialed in here, volume wise, and let me get you in here now. There's the Epic Journeyman, and there is Dr. Rowe, and of course I'm Jimmy. Epic Journeyman, why don't you start getting into a little bit here with Mr. Ramsey? Let's get into a little bit, just a bullet point idea about what the book is actually about, because I mean the title in its of itself is titillating and exciting. I mean,
yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Me too. So why don't you get into it, Epic Journeyman? I'll be right back.
Yeah, this is right up our alley. I mean, this is the kind of thing that whenever you're up late and you're looking up all kinds of other stuff, you always stumble upon your pet theories, you know, that I have, a lot of us have, and it leads exactly to this kind of thing that this book appears to be about. I haven't read it yet. I feel like I'm missing out here. So if you could let us all know, give us a kind of rundown of what's featured in the book.
Yeah, well, it's really came out of my research into this phenomenon of the smiley face killers, which is this occurrence that's been happening over the last 20 or 30 years of young men being at bars and being found in water. And it's been a real kind of predicament and a conundrum as to why or what the motive is behind these deaths, these water deaths that are taking place. Oftentimes the men will be disappeared for 10, 20, 30, 40 days and then later be found in water in places that were pre-searched. So I've been researching that. I did 2 documentaries on that, which are on Vimeo. And it was during this kind of research that I've run into some other researchers, great researchers on the internet. One was Jim Smith, but the other one was Igor Sarsky, who talked to me about this group called the Order of Nine Angles. And I'd never really heard of them. Some people had kind of tried to tell me about it, but he really explained kind of their ideology. And this was really kind of in late 2019, kind of during the pandemic. So that was August when I first talked to him. And it kind of led me down, like I didn't know about this group. So I really wanted to find out about this group. But then what I found out is that there were all of these events, real world events that involved young men engaged in murder that were taking place all over the world. So, and there was actually just a recent one recently that had a kind of a cult connection to kind of this group and people in this group. We can talk about that. His name was Daniel Hussein out of the UK. But I really kind of wanted to know, what is this group about? What is their ideology? What separates them from some other satanic groups that maybe other people would know, such as the Church of Satan, the Temple of Set, the Order of Temple Orientis, Aleister Crowley, who I've done a lot of research about and wrote a book about called Prophet of Evil, and done a documentary about Prophet of Evil as well. But so I really wanted to figure out this Order of Nine Angles and what's it about. So the fortunate thing is that all of their documentation is easily available or readily found, searchable online. So you really have to look up, and they have thousands and thousands of thousands and thousands of pages of documents that have accrued really since the group's formation in the early 80s. So I really wanted to find out what separates them. Well, in their own kind of ideology, what they say separates them is their approach towards culling, which is essentially a husbandry term about killing. So they had this idea of culling people, but you're supposed to kind of do it secretly. You're supposed to do it and not get caught. And that was one of kind of their components that was written into their early documents by their founder, really the person who put it all together, who was a neo-Nazi from the UK named David Myatt. And he was really kind of pre-internet putting these doctrines together in small pamphlets. He was really a pamphleteer, so he would write a 3-page document on a certain subject, and then do another 3-page document and put together in kind of I mean, if you're old enough to remember, you used to have to take these papers and bind them yourself with ring binders, and that's what he would do, and sell them out of a P.O. box in the UK and the very foundation of this Order of Nine Angles. So that was really how it started pre-internet. And he started accruing. They have something in the group called the Septenary Way, which is a 7-fold way. I think the group was influenced by, strangely enough, Nazism and occultism together, which Nazism is kind of occultism if you really look into it. But they
absolutely,
they had a post-Hitler, post-Aleister Crowley, post-LaVey kind of differentiation. And I believe the guy who put together the group was very intelligent on the higher end of the bell curve. So he was writing kind of new doctrines, and he was accruing all kinds of new information to put it into this group. And I think they had kind of an elitist sensibility. They weren't trying to popularize the group, but I don't think it ever got over 2,000 or 3,000 people, if that. But there were many more people influenced by them. They influenced people in other bands and music. And once the internet came around, I think that really opened up the opportunities for people to learn and study their books. They started getting compiled into books. So one is the Sinister Tradition and some of these other foundational books of the Order of Nine Angles, and it spread around the world. And that's why I gave it the global death cult. So they have small little cells, almost like you would have a cell of communists or a terrorist cell. So they have these cells all around the world. And that's what merited the title of the book, The Global Death Cult, because it really is global in its expanse and its how many people that it's attracted to its ideas, but also real world events. There was a stabbing murder by one member or somebody affiliated with the ONA in Toronto. He went up and killed a guy late at night. There was another one named Ethan Meltzer, who was an army private, I believe, in Italy, who was trying to set up his own platoon or his own military group for a terrorist attack, and using and contacting members of the ONA. He still actually hasn't been tried as far as I know, and he's at the MCC, the same jail that Ghislaine Maxwell was in. So that's one other
nice.
Case. Yeah, so Meltzer, you have Von Nudegem in Toronto, and there's just these other cases that have surfaced with this association to the Order of Nine Angles. And what the Order of Nine Angles has done is influence these far-right groups. So they had this other group that grew up in the United States. Well, there are other ones that were in kind of globally who I cover. But the title of my book is Atomwaffen, fairly recent book, recent organization. 2015 is kind of when it was formulated. And it's supposedly gone now. The head of the Atomwaffen was recently let out of jail. But they had, and all these members are very far right, but they started getting these documents and ideas from the Order of Nine Angles. So this modern neo-Nazism is now influenced by the cult, and Atomwaffen has been associated with all kinds of deaths. Two of them, one of the lead kind of founded guys, two of the other members died in Tampa, Florida. one guy by the name of Himmelman and Onishchuk. There was another one, Giampa, who was an Atomwaffen he was kind of like a porch Atomwaffen member trying to get full membership. He killed his girlfriend's parents. And then another kind of known Atomwaffen named Woodward in Orange County, California, stabbed a former classmate who was Jewish to death. And he still hasn't been tried, to my knowledge. COVID shut down a lot of the legal proceedings, but he's being held in jail in Los Angeles. And those are two of kind of the known cases associated. There was also a massive swatting campaign by members of Atomwaffen, and they were recently in the news just as close as 2 or 3 months ago for one of these members who was a literal member of the ONA, who was also a police informant. And it's pretty much confirmed that he was taking money from the feds. That's a significant amount of money, $140,000, I think, over 10 or 15 years.
So,
and he was always kind of ratting out, kind of betraying people to the government, and those guys are in jail. So there's a lot of these Atomwaffen members who have been wrapped up, and they have ties to the Order of Nine Angles and the American neo-Nazi movement. It's really crazy because it goes back to a guy by the name of George Lincoln Rockwell and James Mason, who wrote a book called Siege. And they overlap, and they have an affinity for Charles Manson, of all things. So they went out to where Manson kind of was last seen in the Death Valley, and kind of had some kind of conclave or meeting where Charles Manson said,
now,
there was a hole to the netherworld or something like that. So it's a really strange story. It's international in scope. It has a lot of members. There's a lot of deaths. And it's really just kind of surfaced really within the last, my opinion, kind of the last 4 or 5 years.
So, William, now, are there direct ties to some of these conservative or ultra right-wing political movements?
Well, if you read my book, one of the guys who just got arrested, his name was Denton, and he was kind of the follow-on, according to my understanding, is after the chief Atomwaffen member got arrested and put in jail, that he was one of the follow-on heads of Atomwaffen. He is now in jail, and he, under a fake name, according to my research, was a bodyguard for Richard Spencer back in, I think it was 2015, so like 5 years ago. So he became the head of Atomwaffen. So there is a connection there. They seem to know each other.
Richard Spencer's the guy from Northern Idaho? Is that the same guy? Or is it a different
Not
guy?
to my knowledge. Richard Spencer was wanting a white ethno-state, and he just got a suit was just concluded, a civil suit against him and some other.
Oh, right.
Of the
I had him
rights.
confused. Right. Yeah, I had him confused.
Yeah.
They just had that civil suit, right?
Yeah, I think that there's somebody with a similar name like that who was also in the kind of American White Power movement. But yeah, so that civil suit was a huge suit, multi-million dollars. Richard Spencer was named with some other people for what went down in Charlottesville, the Unite the Right rally. So they lost, and I don't know how they're going to collect, but I think it's certainly symbolic. I don't know whether that money will ever be found, but yeah, I think it was taken by kind of activist groups who were trying to shut it. But those guys, and I cover another guy who was at the Unite the Right. I cover him and his association with the ONA. So there is this, and it's been brought up in Congress. ONA has been brought up in the House of Commons in the UK. They want to prescribe the group. It's a very dangerous group, very dangerous ideology, in my opinion. And it's really kind of seethed underground. And my book was an attempt to compile all of these stories, put them together in one book so people can see all of these cast of characters and individuals. And a lot of them have been arrested. A lot of the members of Atomwaffen have been arrested, supposedly closed down. But like anything, if you research these Nazi groups, they just change their names and rebrand. So a lot of the same characters are kind of still floating around and doing something like that.
Right.
So,
I was just going to say they're very much, you kind of alluded to earlier, like terrorist cells, right? Like you think of the sleeper cells that are put there that Al Qaeda had back in the day, or other groups where they just go to all these different places and live a normal life among the little villages they're living in or city or whatever, and are just there at a phone call's notice basically to go do some mischief.
Something like that. Like I don't know if anybody, any journalist or any member of, I don't know, other than this guy who started a Nexian called the Temple of Blood, South Carolina. I'm not sure if anybody's really exposed some of the kind of insider mechanics of one of these cells, but people have talked about it. People have left the group. But yeah, they're supposed, I mean, it's a very strange kind of reformulating of Nazi tenets, because you're supposed to kind of have insight roles, so you're going to get experience. So somebody will join the ONA, and I have proof of this in my book, and then join the National Guard, or they'll try to join.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And try to get training.
That's what I wanted to ask you now, because I did some. I did a couple chunks pieces on extreme right wing activism at the time of the election was going on, because there was a lot of dudes. There was some guys that had come out and said that they were in the service. There was lots of guys in the service. They specifically were in the service to steal equipment, weapons, intelligence, everything else, and that there was players that were inside that would act according to whatever the game plan was going to be in the event that something went down or whatever.
Right, and I think that's part of this insight rule doctrine. That's the ONA has influenced some of these far right groups, including Atomwaffen. The head of Atomwaffen, who founded it, he became a member of the National Guard. His name was Clint Russell. So you can see pictures of him in his National Guard uniform. He was building bombs. That's what he went to jail for, is putting together bomb-making equipment, which they found in his condo in Tampa. And when they arrested him, you can see it on tape. You can literally type in Clint Russell arrested on YouTube, and he had an armory in his car, and he thought when the police pulled him over with another guy, they thought they had foiled a mass shooting. They had so many weapons and bullets. So they're all of their doctrines and all their posters and propaganda, hyper nihilistic, hyper post-apocalyptic, end of the world kind of mentality, and they're the ones who want to be standing on the pile of ashes. A lot of their doctrines are very violent, like we're the ones who are going to triumph over the destruction. So it's very almost Nazistic in the sense that they want to accelerate the end where they can come out the other side and triumph. And that's kind of the accelerationist ideas that are in this group. I don't think Atomwaffen wasn't that big, probably 200 members. ONA, 2,000-3,000.
Hey guys, go.
But it really is the violent ideology that makes them exceptional and makes them stand out.
Well, now there's a lot of ultra young members in this cult now, and there's a question in the chat. Before you get into that, there's a question in the chat room. Now, a lot of these members are 18 and younger.
Some, yeah, no doubt.
But somebody in the chat room asked, do you know the reason behind the 9 angles and why this group is called that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So they distinguished themselves from the Temple of Set. That's Mike Lucchino, who shot himself in the head a year or two ago, killed himself at 72. But he created this ritual of the 9 angles. And this Myatt actually wrote something. There's a pamphlet where he distinguishes his title from the Temple of Set's 9 angles. The idea of the 9 angles are, I think it's supposed to be that there are 9 angles separating the terrestrial, I think, planets, and then there's a portal there's like an external portal that goes to the spirit world. So they have an acausal and causal realm. Mm-hmm. So there's a portal from the acausal to the causal realm. So it's 7 planets, 2 portals, and a lot of the doctrines are you're supposed to draw energy from the acausal down into the world. And that dark energy. So they have this idea of 22 dark gods. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say how much of these people who are doctrinaire practice the ONA like they do now, because there's tons of ideas. There's really actual external and internal rituals. So you could have external rituals with a group of people, but then you could also do your own work. There's chanting. There's all kinds of weird things. But
is there any tie-in to secular humanism? Not humanist, but secular humanist.
I mean, I think that they really do not. There's no ideas of humanism. They're very Nazistic. So a lot of the language and stuff is really about them as being separate from the rest of humanity, and they can make decisions, life or death, over them, and you go through a process of selecting a sacrifice, or offer, they call it. Mm-hmm. They have symbols for that. But as far as secular humanism, I would say their ideas are occultism and Nazism melded together.
I see.
That would probably occult Nazism. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And they deify Hitler. So Hitler isn't an antichrist; he's an avatar.
Well,
so that's somebody they praise. So in their rituals, you praise Hitler. You time from the birth of Hitler in 1898, I think he was born. So all these things like praise Hitler and you worship Hitler, and there's pictures of Hitler, and they hate von Stauffenberg, who tried to kill Hitler. So it's really Nazism. It's very interesting too, because the head of the founder of ONA, who formulated it, Myatt, actually knew a very important person in Nazi history who survived World War II and kind of went on the fascist world tour. His name was Otto Riemer. And if you watch or know about von Stauffenberg's attempt to overthrow Hitler in 1944, Riemer was one of the central characters who overthrew the attempted overthrow of Hitler. So von Stauffenberg bombed Hitler, went back to, I think, Munich, and Riemer was there and heard on the phone from Hitler, "I'm still alive," and then he made sure the overthrow of Hitler didn't happen. And so he knew Myatt. And so Myatt has like a signed picture of this guy, Otto Riemer. So there's definitely connections. There's weird connections with Gladio groups, Combat 18, the UK Nazism he was friends with. And I've actually seen like a remarkable picture of this character from the UK who was a known Nazi, like you would know him here. But his name was Colin Jordan, and he was shaking hands with Rockwell, who was an American Nazi who ended up getting shot by his own people. There's a lot of these Nazis shoot each other because they all want to be Hitler. So there's a lot of internal problems that end in violence. Yeah.
Well, let's just say there's been a lot of information that's come out over the years about some of the stuff that was going on with Hitler, as far as the occult, as far as magic is concerned, as far as a lot of the same things that you're talking about, which seem to have been incorporated in everything that was going on with the Third Reich, including the symbolism they were using from antiquity, the logos that contain the resonant frequency of power.
No doubt. And a lot of that's inculcated and still through Nazism and the Order of Nine Angles and Adam Waffen. The black sun symbolism, the runes, this kind of wolf shuffle, which is kind of like this wolf catcher symbol that they like. Hitler was wrapped up in all kinds of occultism. I mean, to say that he wasn't a Christian. He said, Hitler, that I'm a pagan to the bone. And so he had a pagan outlook from the beginning, killed people all the time, and the triumph of the will, which is really the opposite of kind of Christian ideology and ethos. It's your will instead of God's will. So that was kind of his whole thing. So he really actually put himself in the place of Christ in a lot of ways. So 1,000-year Reich is a parody of the 1,000-year reign of Christ, right? That's supposed to happen after the end of the world. So there's all kind. I mean, we can do a whole nother show on the occultism of Hitler.
Well, listen, hold on. We still got a whole bunch of this show that before we get there, brother, Mr. Ramsey. Tell everybody first where they can get your book right now.
Well, if you want a signed copy, you can go to my website, WilliamRamseyInvestigates.com. I can send it to you in the U.S. It's hard to ship it out. It's very expensive for some dumb reason to ship it to Canada or to the U.K. You can get it from Amazon. There's a Kindle version for $9.99. You can get a hardbound copy. So it's on Amazon. It's been out since May, and it's done really well. I'm very pleased.
So there's how you can find it, ladies and gentlemen, and the End of the Microcosm audience likes to read books, man. They're weird like that. So I'm glad they got a place to get a hold of it. Now, I want to tell everybody, tomorrow morning, starting at 9 o'clock a.m., we're going to be running for 12 hours doing a benefit for the Kev Baker family. As you know, Kev Baker passed away yesterday, and so we've been just I've been, not really saying anything. I'm just kind of waiting until tomorrow to, say anything about it. But what I do want to say is we were able to get the GoFundMe set up over on GoFundMe, and it's called the Kev Baker Memorial. So just cruise on over there and step on up and make a donation. And I'm gonna just start the drive right now, cause you know, it's been a lot of years, man. Kev Baker's been on the air. You know, he's you know, over 50.
He's one of the originals, right?
Right. One of the 1,500 shows that he did over there. And, you know, time goes by. Time goes by and we listen every day. 2 o'clock Pacific comes time and Kev Baker is on the air, you know, and we listen. And maybe over the years we forgot to throw a few bones his way, man. You know, maybe we forgot to donate when we could have, or, you know, or whatever. Well, let's just do it now. For all the people that forgot to throw a bone over to Kev Baker for all his hard work, man, for all those years. You know, if you forgot, well, guess what? It was cool that you forgot, because it means you saved it all up for now when his family really needs your help. So mosey on over there. GoFundMe. It's called the Kev Baker Memorial. And so far, since we started it, we've gotten $1,646. And we're on our way to $5,000, ladies and gentlemen. So whatever you can do to help, please do. If you don't have anything money to give, that's fine. Just tell everybody about it. Tell people about where they can give if they want to. Lots of people want to give, man. You know, Kev didn't, you know, he didn't ask you guys for money, man. As much as he could have and much as he should have. He didn't sell shirts. He didn't do any of that, man. You know, he basically was doing it for free, you know. Basically. All these years. But he kept doing it. He showed up every day, no matter what, no matter how sick he was. So, do me a favor and show your love and support this way, because the family could really use it. Dollars and cents, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you all, and I appreciate you listening to me talking about this, and we're going to be right back. We're talking about the global death cult with William Ramsey. You can find his books. Take a read. Very interesting.
When your doctor tells you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendivite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendivite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendivite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendivite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
gotta dump it before he starts screaming in my ear in these expensive headphones. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. It's Aftermath FM. And, yeah, man, tomorrow will be the night. I don't want to sit here and, tomorrow I'm going to talk all about Kev Baker, and we got a lot of great people stopping by. Ryan Gable's going to stop by. Dr. Kev McCarron's going to stop by. Charlie Robinson's going to stop by. Billy Ray Valentine's going to stop by. Nano Girl's going to stop by. Scotty Lopez is going to stop by. Johnny Whistles is going to stop by. We're trying to get Popeye to stop by. So we're going to continue on tomorrow all day and night. Tomorrow, 12 hours, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. tomorrow night. And in the meantime, you can mosey on over to Kev Baker Memorial, the GoFundMe, if you want to get in there. We're going to be reading out everybody who donates over there. So we're going to read you out. We're going to read out your message to Kev Baker. We're going to open up the phone lines tomorrow. Everybody who has to and wants to going to come on here and share in one central location. So this way, Kev's son and his wife can always reference back and hear what everybody thought about their husband and their father. Because Kev Baker was a fantastic husband and a fantastic father. He loved his son more than anything in the world. So it's exciting that we're all going to get a chance to tell Kev exactly how we feel. And we'll be doing that tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. Okay, there it is. I said my piece. Now, let's get back into it. Epic Journeyman. Are that? Because I know you have.
I am here.
I know you have questions, and also Dr.
Oh,
Rowe,
I got a ton of questions.
Dr. Rowe,
Yep.
did you have any questions too? Because I didn't know if you wanted to jump in there. I couldn't see you. You're in stealth mode.
Yeah, no, I'm just sitting back and listening. So go right ahead.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yes, fascinating.
It is. It is fascinating. You know, so I never really looked into this organization much before. I don't think I ever really heard much about them other than like kind of peripheral thing. I'm really surprised, actually, because I've done so much looking into these Nazi angles of how the mysticism of the Nazis is being used in the world right now. That this accelerationism and this idea of esoteric traditionalism, which is embraced by people like Steve Bannon. A lot of people don't know that Steve Bannon. I mean,
yeah,
dude,
right.
completely.
Julius Evola, yeah.
Yeah, and so and there's in the embrace of the symbology, like in the case of, I'm going to use Bannon here as an example. He uses the Pepe the Frog logo when he took over what was at that time the alt-right movement, and made those groypers and things, right, and just brought them all in and made it more increasingly right-wing, and used the internet to propagate in mimetic warfare, mimetic engineering, to actually accomplish way more than was ever possible before. And what these guys have that is really interesting to me is the amount of the initiation process, how long it takes. Of course, they're going to get them young. It takes years potentially to go through all their initiations. I mean, they spend 3 months at least out in the wilderness, basically, or up sometimes 6, divorced from society. Let's go stay in a cave, right, for a whole lunar cycle. I mean, and that kind of reinforcement in a cult is what it is, or is religion, right? That kind of stuff sticks. You know, these people are extremely dedicated.
They want you to really be transformed. They want you to go through that traumatic, transformative experience and come out the other side.
Yes.
Because once you come out the other side in the ONA, you're probably not going to go back. They want you to go sit out on your back, sundown to sunset. Very Druidic stuff. Get back to nature.
Definitely.
If you look at their iconography and their art, all nature stuff. Forests, leaves, moons, water.
They totally copied Himmler's stuff, his occult. I mean, it's Hitler, obviously, but Himmler was really the occultist, right, among them. And his stuff.
Arguably, he's the known much more.
Yeah, Hitler, that's true. That could be. But the fact that they replicate so many of the same things, they even have their own Vril society, right? With how do you pronounce it? Ranwitha, the female witches.
Yes.
Yeah, and they go. People need to understand this. This is really dangerous. These witches often live in a communal environment, mostly lesbians, out in the fringes of society, and all these people believe in human sacrifice. All of them do. It's one of their tenets of this group. They believe in sacrifice. Now they sacrifice people they think are the dregs of society. They don't sacrifice children. That's part of their credo, right? Your creed.
Right. That's their
but
moral code.
Yeah.
They won't sacrifice kids, but if they think that you are inhibiting human evolution, you're in play.
And that they specifically designed it in such a way that you could have hundreds of thousands of these people. You would never really know because it doesn't have any central organization. That's the whole point. It's all these little. The ideology is what unites them, not an organization.
At least publicly, that's what they say publicly. That's very true. And there's a lot of kind of on surface and underneath the surface, they operate using, relatively sophisticated encryption and techniques. They have an oral tradition, so nothing's ever put in writing. So, the Nazis did that too. A lot of the whole stuff about the Holocaust was all done by word. There's no paperwork. Excuse me. But so they're carrying on the whole Nazi tradition.
It's like the old video game series, Castle Wolfenstein. Like they just embrace that as an actual ideology and live by it. You know what I mean? Like it's all good. Like the death heads of the SS. Like this is what you want to be. This is what they model themselves after. And I think that there's a lot more than people think because they've emerged. If you think back to like the New Zealand shooting, right? That all came out. They use 4chan and 8chan a lot, right? I mean, that's their stomping ground. And originally 4chan, they started getting booted off of there a lot, but they're still there. And 8chan, totally was one of those guys. And they absolutely praise things like the Florida shooting, right, at the nightclub, or the thing what happened in New Zealand. All these other things is just a perfect example.
The Pittsburgh Synagogue shooting. We can talk about that. I know some interesting stuff about that.
Oh, good. Let's hear.
Well, I mean, what was the guy's name who went in? He was on Gab. Gab is kind of, I'm pretty sure they've cleansed a lot of the Nazis off of Gab. And the founder of Gab is pretty overtly Christian now. Whatever. But the guy, I can't remember, he posted on Gab.
Well, can you be overtly Christian and still be a Nazi?
Oh, you're not supposed to be.
Well,
I would say
I'm just saying, can you have extreme right-wing viewpoints though, and still be a Christian? I think that's. I think that's conflicting with the Christian ideology. You're not really supposed to be a racist in the Christian tradition if you take the Good Samaritan's example of Christ's teaching. You're not supposed to be an overlord. You're a servant. Mm-hmm.
Christ. Wait, Jesus didn't have a machine gun.
Right. So people can pervert that and say that he wasn't, but there's no evidence of any violence, any call for violence. There's evidence of calling for peace, of washing his apostles' feet.
Well, it seems like a lot of these
Roman soldiers' ear, of healing the Praetorian Guard's servant, right? So all that stuff. So
seems like a lot of these dudes, as soon as something happens, everybody gets religious all of a sudden. Like when they go to prison. Like when they go to prison. That's typically where you see a lot of converts in prison. But like when
that's very true, because the far righters were on Gab. I mean, that's just a basic fact.
Well,
and some of those people are clearly right on there, but there's always been an uncomfortable, in my opinion, an uncomfortable position of those people being on the right together. The far rightists, the racial rightists, the Nazis, and the Christians, which I think are antagonistic, but they're both typically on the right.
Yeah, I mean, that is the biggest enemy right now on Homeland Security's number one hit list is right-wing Christian
under this regime.
Yeah, Christian conservatives.
Well, they're trying to turn it into Christian conservatives, but yeah, under this regime, I mean, you can be Antifa and dox people and burn stuff down, and they'll bail you out. But if you are supposedly part of the insurrection or whatever, that whole setup that happened on January 6th, they'll literally have a gulag going on in D.C. right now, in my opinion. So,
yeah,
whole other story.
Well, no, actually, it's not another story. It's exactly the same story because it's exactly what we're talking about. Because it is one ideology, one group against another, And these are extremists. Like, for example, I was going to point out, when George Bush says, I get up and pray to God every morning, people's social engineering makes them identify what he's saying to their own psychological makeup. So in other words, when somebody says, when Obama says hope and change, he don't say anything. But in your mind, it's whatever you're hoping for, and whatever change you want to make is what you impose over his words. So it's the same thing with this other stuff, man. When George Bush says, I pray to God every morning, it doesn't mean he's praying to the God you think he's praying to. Just because he says he's a Christian.
Hey,
right?
He said he was born again too, but it doesn't mean the way you think born again is. He does
Exactly.
that double-minded wordplay.
Exactly.
Because he got into a tomb and somebody pissed on him and said, "You're a new man."
There you
That's
go.
Always the
See, born again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a video of him saying that back in like 2000, and just he has that jack-o'-lantern grin. Just he knows that he's goofing with people. He knows.
Oh
it.
yeah,
He knows.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can say I'm born again. I'm born again, and smiling. I'm like, I know what you mean. Anyway,
Yeah, and shock and awe is
well, we can talk. That's a whole nother. We can talk about the occultism of Bush.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
A whole nother show.
Anything goes right here, right now, brother. Throw down on it. Wherever you want to go, man. You got the floor.
What do you mean? I mean, that's my whole first book is Prophet of Evil. It's all about the occultism of 9/11, the dates. They were very rigid about making sure the numerology was correct on so many times and dates and bombings and fake bombings and social engineering dates. So I mean, it's all written through the whole Bush 8-year dictatorship.
Well, so now let's go into that a little bit. So Joachim and Boaz, and then the Temple of Solomon, right behind that there.
Bro, they integrated Rockefeller's really David Rockefeller integrated everything about a temple into the World Trade Center.
Yeah, man.
So all kinds of numerology, all kinds of symbology, all kinds of transforming through a new world. The Giant 11, it's 110 stories. There's the global caryatid. I mean, the design. It's broken into 3 parts of 33. I mean, it's very sophisticated. Much like Rockefeller Center. Another little temple type of Temple of the Illumined ones, and they built the UN building. So all those things were all Rockefeller, and you can trace that family's history. They're really the power behind the Bushes, actually. The Bushes runs for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can go through now. You can read my book, Prophet of Evil. It's all laid out there. And I actually wrote in that book they're going to use vaccines to bring in the New World Order. So it's probably better that you have read Prophet of Evil than some of the other shallow, poorly written ripoffs of people who repeat my research for shamelessly. I don't want to name their names.
Well, you can if you want.
Oh, sorry.
You can rip out the buzzsaw right now if you want. This is in the microcosm, man.
It's not worth it. I've had. I mean, you want to talk about occultists? I mean, I had people who were supposedly on the alternate media write a book, but they took out all the nasty stuff about Crowley. They didn't mention Bush. I mean, they kind of did, but it was a sad kind of thing. But a lot of people talk about that book, and they don't understand that I did most of that research, in my opinion. I mean, I can prove it. I've said it before. If I put my book and their book together in front of an academic body at a credible university, they would probably, in my opinion, they'd be kicked out of that university for listing research and plagiarism without citing, with improper citations, just like a shameless improper citation. My book is totally cited. So, but you know what? I'm into you get into that place where you just sound like you're bitter and angry. And
right. We know the feeling.
Well, you know what? Check this out, man. Check this out. The bottom line is, man, you did the research and you put the information out there, and
it's been out there since 2010, bro. So I mean, I was mostly on Christian radio, and I think some people, in my opinion, looking back, I didn't really have the reach or the breadth of people that I knew, and so people just took it and went to a different kind of genre and put it out there in a different way. So, you know, at the end, I think I'll be totally justified in time, and I would recommend people, if they want like an unfiltered book of somebody who actually did the research, they should read Prophet of Evil. They could see my documentary on Vimeo. I do, you know.
Oh, sweet. So
I'll definitely watch that. I have 3 questions before we get away from 9/11 that have always bothered me.
and
That
before you
a lot
do-
of people have researched, but I don't know what your thoughts of it are.
Okay, wait.
We have the break.
Hold your question, because January 5th is 666 days since COVID started, and there's a bunch of 666s around that date. And there's some really new information out about some of the technology behind what's going on there. So I wanted to point that out. So there may be some symbology there, Mr. Ramsey, that you can maybe take a look at later.
Very dark. Dude, the 19 is like a number. I can't remember. There was some place in numerology where it talks about the light bringer. I have to go back and find that. But do not take the gene therapy. It's very dangerous. It's worse than COVID. If you get COVID, you want to just hit it real fast with vitamins, ivermectin, anything. But do not get that gene therapy. It's not good for you, man. It's not, in my opinion, my reading. Don't do it. It's not a vaccine. It's not a vaccine in the normal sense.
No, it's an injectable for sure. And
there's all kinds of stuff in there, and you're actually going through, and you will go through as it gets worse. Really almost kind of like a little Holocaust. I think that the amount of deaths probably at 200,000 based upon what I've read right now, and it's probably just going to shorten people's lives, and they're going after the kids.
Well,
so, I mean, the kids have 0% chance of dying, and most of they actually went back through, and they look at the kids who supposedly died for COVID, and they were had full comorbidities. They had liver failure.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to die anyway. So a lot of they're juicing the numbers. And Fauci, there should be a Nuremberg trial for Fauci, the head of Pfizer.
Well,
our government doesn't represent us anymore. So you got to really think like what's going on, because they're not protecting us from this death. And the media, mass media is covering it up. It's just a huge fascist freaking nightmare.
Well, we did a show a couple weeks ago about something called the hidden hand. Okay, I mean, you go back and look at Napoleon. He's got his hand in his vest.
Right.
Okay, Fauci puts his hand in his vest. Fauci is fully on the team, man. There's no question about it. So,
I am science.
He's not on our team.
Be more arrogant.
He's not on our team either. He's on the opposite.
He was. I mean, you can go back and look at Robert F. Kennedy's book. He goes back and talks about his time with AZT. The guy shouldn't even been in the government. We shouldn't let these people stay in the government. It's our fault. I mean, it's certain part of the passivity of the populace just allowing these bums in there and stay in there and harm people. Like, you literally are doing harm. They're doing harm. The pharmaceutical industry has done so much harm. Pfizer had the largest, I think, judgment of any pharmaceutical company ever, if I remember correctly. And they're the ones administering this vaccine. Wow.
Yeah, well.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, you have a bank robber. Come in and why don't you monitor the bank?
Well,
it's crazy.
We're
crazy. It's the word that they put out really is true. It's mass psychosis.
It's literally gotten out of control, man. Because
we're in a crazy. You know what's going to happen?
Here's the thing.
I'll make a prediction.
Listen. You live in America, don't you, Mr. Ramsey? You live in America, don't you?
Right.
Okay. And so you live here, and so there's a contract here between you and the government. It's called the Constitution, and they say they're going to guarantee your God-given rights. They don't give you your rights, but they're going to guarantee your rights, and in return for that, you're going to be a citizen. You're going to pay your taxes. You're going to go fight in a war if somebody tries to, steal our freedom. So what happens when somebody breaks their contract with you? Do you still stay in a relationship? Because it seems to me the contract between the American people and their government has been broken.
I agree.
I don't even see the government even following the Constitution. If you go over the American Civil Liberties Union and type in constitutional free zones, go take a look at exactly how much area in the United States is really even covered by the Constitution. You hear all these people saying, oh, the sheriff is the most important person because he enforces the Constitution. But unfortunately for that sheriff, he's in a constitutional free zone. So he don't mean squat.
No, the thing is if you had a functioning legislature, they would be the ones passing laws about how to do this whole gene therapy rollout. But a mandate is nothing other than a kingly edict. You just have somebody forcing you to make choices about your health, who is a doddering old 81 guy who probably wasn't even elected.
Because the very basic thing is that you have, as a human being, you have the right to protect yourself from harm.
Right, I agree.
If you feel that this is harm for you, then you have every right to protect yourself. And if the government doesn't support you in the protection of that choice, then the government is not supporting the document that the government is founded upon.
Agreed.
The government should then be nullified and no longer valid because their contract with the American people is not being executed correctly. So either we need to get rid of the people that don't want to follow the rules. They don't belong up where they are. If they don't understand what the rules are, should they be there? I don't know, man. It doesn't seem.
Well, you're getting into different territory, but I would say everybody would be very wise to make preparations for a totally rogue government. I mean, that's really it. I mean, you have a kind of a government that a mandate's just a pretty kind of public relations, control group.
Right.
BS thing that was. What do you think? What's the right word?
Do you remember? Do you remember the guy that said?
Mandate. People think mandate will be okay.
Remember the guy that said, "Show me the law." They went up and sniped him on his front porch, killed him and his dog, and shot his wife.
Which guy was that?
Ruby Ridge, man.
Oh, Ruby Ridge. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I mean.
I'm just
that
saying.
Same sniper was at Waco, by the way.
What's that?
That same sniper was at Waco.
Yeah.
That exact same sniper. That's the guy. It's
really?
has a Vietnamese name.
His name was Horiguchi or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Have
it's Vietnamese name. Yeah. It's I don't know what it is without looking it up right now. But yeah, he was there. He's when they tried to run out from the fire, shooting people. You have it right there on tape. You have the infrared, everything.
That whole thing in Waco was out of hand. I mean, they could have snatched David Koresh while he was jogging every day. Like he was around town. Like that's like my understanding. So they could have easily just done it without violence. So.
Yeah, well, it's into the microcosm. It's the bottom. It's the bottom of the hour, and that was William Ramsey there. And tell them again where they can find your book, Mr. Ramsey.
My book is available. Global Death Cult is at my website, William Ramsey Investigates, or on Amazon. You can buy it on Kindle or hard copy.
Excellente. Dr. Rowe, are you back to broadcasting again? Are you doing Crypto Corner still?
The daytimes I'm not doing. The evening shows I am, yeah. So I did a couple shows Thursdays, but probably going to be a couple more weeks before I'm back on the air on the daytime shows.
Well, listen, I definitely want you to cruise back because that idea that you were floating around about putting together our own type of contract thing was kind of interesting. The idea, the concept of putting together these smart contracts that you were talking about.
Yeah, okay, sure, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I just think once people understand and get hip to it, because I mean, a lot of people are hearing about NFTs all of a sudden. People don't really even know what they are. And people are hearing about them all of a sudden. They're seeing like what's her nuts. What's her face? I can't think of her name now. I kissed a girl. She just got like 600 grand.
Katy Perry?
Yeah, Katy Perry just got 600 grand for some digital little thing. And I saw some dude, he's like, I made $250 million last year, and this is my house, or whatever. And he's sitting around in this house with digital pictures on the wall that are encasing his NFTs.
Yeah, I think he's got a place in Dubai on like the Palms or something.
It's absolutely out of this world, man. It's crazy what's going on. So there's millionaires being made overnight over this stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just young people too. It's a lot of young people are into it, man. I think that's what's driving the whole thing. Who knows? I don't know.
You just get an NFT is just you have a placard or you pay for something that's online, right? But some kind of asset or
non-fungible token, basically just a unique digital asset is all it is. Which it's kind of crazy because I mean the prices that these, I was looking, they have these games, right? And you can play like You have a little mock city or whatever, and you buy little properties and all that, and it might be fantasy or whatnot or anything. But some of the properties, or like let's say a building, they go for I'm talking $500,000, or I mean it's ridiculous. I saw $500,000, or at least a couple $100,000. I mean a couple $1,000 for a piece of digital property in a game would be ridiculously too much. But these people, this is like, and I started thinking to myself though, it's new, and it'll probably, those prices are probably going to come down after the market gets saturated. But right now it's just crazy sick. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It's total money laundering.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, who's going to pay like $300,000? I guess if you're worth, like, if you make $250 million a year and you're worth like a couple $1 billion, yeah, I'll play a little video game. But why, if you're worth that much money, why would you be sitting around playing a video game in the first place?
I'm just saying, say you're
right. Well, there's a much better investment. They could buy one of Hunter Biden's art pieces for $500,000.
I guess, yeah, unless you're sitting on your yacht in the middle of the Caribbean playing video games. I mean, I guess that's possible.
Well, what about...
You know what this is, though? It's mirror world, man. That's what it is. It's the hyper reality. All those things are going to be real as far as interacting in the real world. Everything's being mapped physically and digitally right now in the physical world.
It's going to They want everything virtual.
Yeah, but you'll be walking around outside in that. I used the analogy buying a parrot last year, I think.
They got this girl already that was complaining because I guess she got groped virtually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had the mod. Yeah, that's nothing compared to what they got.
Listen, pretend you're in Belarus, okay, and they're about to go in and take all the money out of the banks for a haircut, okay, and you got like $1 billion in the bank over there, so you need to get your money out of that country. What do, man?
Crypto.
You buy crypto with it, right? You buy an NFT, and then
buy a freaking castle NFT for a video game.
See what I'm saying? Because look, there's literally, I was watching this documentary the other day about money laundering and how these people attract people on the internet to use their bank account. And
well, here's the thing. Let me tell you. I'm going to expose a scam. What they're doing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I make an NFT, right? Or let's say you can do it by yourself, but it's better if you have other people doing it with you. So you make an NFT, and then you and I have a deal where you're going to put it on open sea and auction it, and I'm going to buy it from you for some ridiculous amount, like $10,000. And then another person is going to buy that from me for like $25,000, and then the third person is the sucker. They're the one that's going to pay like $40,000 or $50,000, and then we're going to split that.
Yeah, man. See, there's a sucker born every minute too. Believe me.
Or you buy it from yourself. You just like, oh, look at, I bought it, $1 million. I'll sell it to you for $500,000. You got a deal.
Yeah, but see what they do. Check this out, man. So they'll take and they'll say, okay, Epic Journeyman, I want you to buy Mr. Rose, whatever it is. I'm gonna put $500,000 in your bank account. Okay, you're gonna pay him $450,000, and you're gonna keep $50,000 out of it.
And I'm out of there.
Right. So this money is hot money, man. So they give you the $400,000, you run it through your bank account.
Just give me the money. Just give me the money.
Right. But you're running through your bank account. Meanwhile, if you get caught, Epic Journeyman, you're going to prison for like 14 years.
Wait right here. I'll be right back.
Those guys that gave you the money, there's nowhere to be found because it is electronic. So, man, this whole thing is just like they give you stacks of money. They show up. They call you up, Epic Journeyman. They go, Epic Journeyman, meet me down at the gas station. And you go down there, and they show up, and there's a bag with all this money. You take that money and go put it in your bank account. And send us
life Nigerian prince stuff, right?
Officer, I swear I thought it was the up and up. I met him at the gas station. They gave me their bag of money. I mean, everything seemed legit.
Yeah, they tell you, they go buy $3,500 worth of gold, and you keep the rest. and you buy them $3,500 worth of gold, you give it to them, and that's it. And they just laundered that money. Now, there's hundreds of people, thousands of people doing that all over the internet on people's bank accounts. So this is the same, I think, that you'd be able to move money the same way in these NFTs and this type of thing. Personally.
I went to a Bitcoin ATM a few years back, just to check it out at one point, just to try it. And there was this girl who, it was obvious she was like, it was drugs, you could just tell that she was and she was just putting all her drug money into Bitcoin. It was kind of funny to watch her. She was rambling all this stuff, so she made it very obvious. But I was like, wow, everybody's going into crypto.
Man, she's telling me the crack dealer accepts crypto? You are, aren't you? That's what you're telling me.
It's crazy.
Listen, I'm running behind on the break. Mom's Jimmy, it's in the microcosm. Dr. Rose here. William Ramsey's here, author of The Global Death Cult. And what was your first book called? I didn't even know you had
Prophet of Evil.
I didn't even know you had that book before. And I'm definitely interested in checking that documentary out. Where's that at? On BitChute?
On Vimeo.
Vimeo.
Under my name, William Ramsey.
William Ramsey on Vimeo.
Now, this stuff goes way back. These organizations, these go way back. How far back do they go?
19th century. Some of them go way back. It depends how far back you want to go. I think that they ape kind of organizations from the ancient world. But yeah, some of them would claim they go all the way back to, what do you call it, Fertile Crescent.
Well, it was interesting when he was bringing up the construction geometrically, the magic of the Trade Center construction. I was thinking of Antiquitech, and I was thinking of the former kinds of construction that had gone on in alignment with star patterns and ley lines and latitude and longitude. Like Washington, D.C., the construction of it.
Right. I think it's 77 latitude goes right through the Pentagon.
Yeah.
So, they're there.
Pentagon looks just like a lot of those star forts that you see that in the ancient construction.
Go look and find out when the cornerstone was planted at the Pentagon.
9/11. Yep.
There you go.
So it's the World Trade Center. Yeah.
Was it? I don't know. I'm
yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah, it is. It was.
I'm not surprised. There's a picture of David Rockefeller, I think from the 50s, where his watch is put at. The hands are at 9 and 11.
All right, I'm running behind. We'll be right back. Mom's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. We're talking to William Ramsey. It's Aftermath FM, the Global Death Cult.
after about a month of Extendivite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor, I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
'Tis the season, and to celebrate, in the month of December, Ground Zero and Aftermath.fm are offering magnificent deals for listeners. Check it out. For the entire month of December, fans of Ground Zero can get an exclusive membership for only $49 for the year. And that's not all. Premium memberships are only $79 for the year. Need some stocking stuffers? Well, we have something for that too. A premium friends and family plan is just $129 for the year. All memberships include access to all of Ground Zero's archived shows. That's thousands of hours of Ground Zero on demand. You'll have complete access to the document libraries and research groups, and you'll have full participation in a monthly Zoom chat with the man himself, Clyde Lewis. So what are you waiting for? Come on over and take advantage of these great Christmas deals right now. For more information, head on over to aftermath.media right now. Again, that's aftermath.media.
It's Aftermath FM. It's into the microcosm. Mosey on over to GoFundMe. We started a memorial benefit for Kevin Baker. We're going to be on live tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, for 12 hours, raising money for his family. You can head on over there, Kev Baker Memorial, to GoFundMe. Do what you can. If you don't have anything to give your love and pass it on. Let people know. Want to pay our respects to Kev. Do it with money. Family needs it, man. We're going to read out everybody's name and your comments. We got 12 hours to do it, man. Only 20 people so far. 23 people. $1,696. Come on down. We're going to 5,000. It's Aftermath FM. We're sitting here with William Ramsey, Dr. Rowe, Epic Journeyman, and the most important people in the room is you. Appreciate you being here. It's the after part of the underground, the alternative to the alternatives, not your granddaddy's late night. No, no, no. It's right here, right now. Aftermath FM. We are the trigger point for the woke cancel culture. They can't touch us over here. We can do anything we want. Nah. Alright, sorry, I was having some fun. I was trying to give you guys a chance to swig your sodas, take your bong hits, and everything else, because, I mean, this information is expanding my mind as we speak. Epic Journeyman, have you gone deep into the porthole and discovered that the memory hole wasn't what it used to be? This memory hole that we're in, I don't remember it to be just like this. It seems different. Something different about it. It must be the Mandela effect or something. I don't know what it is, man.
It could be. It could be. I'm telling you. Yeah, no, I was double checking that date for the World Trade Center's Cornerstone, and I can't find any confirmation of that now. So I don't be giving you bunk information, but I'm surprised by how difficult it actually is right now. You'd think something like that would be right there, but it used to be. Another one of those talk about memory holes. That's what's happening on the internet. That's what's happened to our search engines. A lot of stuff is getting memory holed, or at least pushed way down in the search, right? They know what you're looking for, and it's down at number 792, or something, right? But what I wanted to ask before we get away from the World Trade Center, because we got a lot to talk about with this other stuff with the 09A, is the ritual aspect of it. A lot of people, almost a lot of people, some people. I haven't seen your documentary yet there, so you might mention it. They think that the statue of the Statue of Liberty was originally designed to be ISIS, right? Originally. And that this ritual had to be performed in the presence of this, figure, right? A celestial figure, which is this ISIS statue. And that the proof some people use, and this is the one that gets me, where I'm most interested in what your take on this is the actual speaking of those words by the school children, kite must hit steel, kite must hit, right? Do you think that's actually related, or do you think it's just a fluke?
Related, no doubt.
Yeah, all the numbers of the planes and everything, right? The times they left,
93,
all that
11,
stuff.
77, 175, all relate back to Crowley. 11 is really kind of a master number in the Western esoteric tradition that Crowley adopted. But yeah, 93, 77, definitely Crowley numbers. Specific to 93 is really specific to Crowley.
So has anybody heard that Betty White is supposedly related to Crowley and Barbara Bush? Have you heard this latest?
No.
Okay, on her passing just a few days ago, this is what's floating around the internet, that Betty White is Barbara Bush's sister who controlled Hollywood. But I don't know. I can't verify that. I just, wanted to know if anybody heard that.
Never heard anything like that, man.
Okay.
She doesn't seem to be kind of like controlling.
I'll tell you what I did hear.
Puppeteer type,
I'll tell you what I did hear. I did hear she was part of the Black Eye Club. I heard that she, there was pictures of her with a black eye. I also heard she drank the blood of virgins. So who knows, man? Maybe she did. You can never know with people. It's never what you think it is it, Epic Journeyman? People are all wearing costumes and masks and playing roles, especially if they're in the media. There's never a reason to think somebody's not acting when they're an actor, is there? That was my biggest problem when I lived in Los Angeles and I was single. And, I was down there, and I was down there because I had a role in a movie, and that's why I moved there originally. So I was an actor, and I was down there. And the first thing, man, as soon as you met somebody down there, they found out you're an actor, you're out. because they can never tell if you're acting or not. Everything you do is suspect. Are you acting now? Do you really?
You're like a professional liar, yeah.
Exactly. Exactamundo, man. So, things aren't always what they're cracked up to be. Go ahead.
Yeah, professional pretender.
Yeah, I mean, when do the commercials end is the point. You know what I mean? So listen, let's say Rahm Emanuel's brother, Ari Emanuel, is your agent, is your manager. They manage you, and they have all the best A-list players there. So how much does it take to get a phone call? I mean, when you get a paycheck, you say, hey, Bob, we want you to go, hey, Bob, AAA box office success. We want you to roll on out here and roll up your sleeve get one for the Grifter. And by the way, here's a bag with a white bag full of cash. There it is. Here's your check or whatever. How do you know when the commercial ends? When the TV's on, people think when the commercials come on that's when the commercials are on, but they don't realize the real commercial is the TV show. That's where the programming really sets in, because you suspend your disbelief. As soon as commercials come on, your disbelief comes right into focus, and you don't listen to it. You block it out. When you think the commercial's off, that's exactly when you're being infiltrated and cognitive liberty is being stolen from you. And the way that these cults have been stealing people's cognitive liberty for a long, long time, William Ramsey.
Long time, generations. I was looking at just the other day, somebody was at the tomb of, what was the president's name who got killed? It was McKinley. I was looking at the tomb of McKinley, and he was really proud of his Masonic tiers. Knights of Malta, 33rd degree Mason. It's right there on his tomb. You can just look it up on the internet. And how many of our leaders have been Masons? Like almost all of them have some type of Masonic occult influence. And every prime minister for the last 400 years in the UK has been a Mason. So it's been a long time.
Dude, you can't throw a rock in the UK without hitting a Mason, though.
Yeah. Police.
Everybody's a Mason. And, listen, I mean, the brotherhoods are the brotherhoods. But you only go so far till you fail the first test. That's your level. You'll never go past that level. Then, the whole object of becoming a master, and the reason that the apron is white is because you don't get it dirty, man. You're a master. Okay? You see a guy stand there with a trawl in his hand and his apron is white. That's because he's a master. He doesn't get his apron dirty. There's other
nobody knows when he's unclean. When you flip on the other side of that apron, it's all death's head, right? Black.
That's right. So the things things aren't always as they seem. I think that seems to be the theme of this show. Because I mean, you could easily get sucked into something that you had no idea, because only part of the ideology was what you were interested in. But you might find yourself, like say you're just you're a conservative Christian gun owner, and you're down at the range, and you meet some dude, and you strike up a conversation. He strikes up a conversation with you because you happen to hit the bullseye a few times. He sees you're good with that weapon. So he decides to mosey on over and talk and say, hey, Bob, yeah, we're going to have a barbecue over here. Why don't you come on over and have a little barbecue with us? And then
what are you eating? Yeah.
Exactly. Some long ham, some man corn. But no, come on over to the barbecue, and then we sit around and we talk, and everybody around, everybody's saying just the things you want to hear. They sound just like you. There's a couple of things they're not saying right now, though, but you'll find out about that later. But by then, it's a little bit too late, isn't it, William Ramsey?
Could be.
I mean, it's a blood oath, blood in, blood out, right?
Some are very serious. Some of these groups are very serious. There's no out. No out.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Out is death.
Yeah, it looks to me like the more I was surprised. Like I said, the more I've looked a little bit into this as we're talking about some of the things that just started floating in my mind, like the idea that the actual Boston bombers could have been a member of this. This absolutely is right up their alley.
So do you think people are born into this, or are they initiated into it?
Well, some could be. Some could be that those witches that live out in the woods there, you have children with them. That's a big part of this. So, yeah. Yeah. No.
What
And
about
they talk about how they joined police and the military to kill people without going to prison, essentially, so they can do their quota, essentially, of murders.
Yeah, they do it all in secret, all at night. Everything takes place at night. So pretty dangerous. But if you look up a guy by the name of Daniel Hussein, his name is spelled Danyal Hussein. He was a young guy. So these guys are all young. They're kind of naive, not really on. Well, some are very intelligent, but definitely kind of on the spectrum types. Like Daniel Hussein, who was on a place called Bog, Become a Living God, who was run by a guy whose name is E.A. Coetting. It's not his real name. But I actually was on a show with him 10 years ago. But that guy, he had this demon that you were supposed to do a blood oath to. And then this guy, Daniel Hussein, and apparently Coetting has written materials for the Order of Nine Angles. That's according to some researchers. So he has an ONA connection. And this guy, Daniel Hussein, wrote his own kind of blood oath and pact to some demon called, I can't remember the name of the demon right now, but signed it in his blood and went to a park and killed 2 people in the middle of the night. And got caught. And he is being sentenced very shortly in the UK. He was found guilty, but they're trying to figure out the appropriate sentence for him because he wasn't exactly the, sharpest knife in the shed, so to speak, or sharpest knife in the drawer. So they're trying to figure out, but it just is indicative of how some of these ideas and these influences that have ONA ideologies have real world effects, because he killed 2 innocent sisters in the park in the northwest of London. So that's just one example. So, you get some kid who's naive, maybe not have a lot of friends, spends a lot of time online. That's actually a common denominator of a lot of the Atomwaffen members, is a lot of time online. And, you have this kind of shiftless world right now. People don't go to church. They don't really have a lot of kind of positive ideologies. And then there's a lot of people in these movements who are looking for young, impressionable people to follow. And they get a sense of belonging and sometimes do terrible, horrible stuff. So I think it's really a cautionary tale to ONA and Atomwaffen about how things can really go wrong for individuals and societies if these ideas metastasize and grow. And I think that I may have said in other interviews, I'm really not optimistic considering where we are as a people. I think that these kind of ideas will actually grow, and it'll be a problem in the next couple decades for sure. I mean, times like these turn people into beasts. It's when you have mass formation psychosis and people's parents die and their friends die. Wait till everybody realizes that these vaccines are murdering or injuring their family and friends. See what that does to people, the psychological effects. Yeah.
I think the Nazi Germany equivalent is right before us, and we see it totally, the radicalization of the country. I mean, it absolutely is festering underneath right there.
Hey, and look what really affected a lot of the Germans. It had nothing to do with the Nazis. It had to do with the fact that the Treaty of Versailles drove them to pay it off. They had to inflate their currency, and all of their savings went to nothing. So you basically had the whole German population go back to square one. People who had worked hard or done savings, if they had it in currency, and you're kind of seeing that now. You see this inflation get out of hand. They're lying about it, the inflation. But you want to see a whole country go insane. I mean, they talked about Germans becoming beasts, after World War I. It was just totally crazy. Freikorps, communists. So what it did is, the sociological background is that the people drove this idea of having an authoritarianism solve their problems. And when you have the chaos right now, that's what the people are going to want. They don't want to have people bickering and not getting anything done in Congress. They're going to want this kind of authoritarian response to set things straight, to put them safe, to make sure their money's worth something. And people who are dictating these policies better wake up. They better see what's coming over the horizon, because it ain't going to be pretty. You're getting a whole generation of people getting ready to be permanently pissed off. So the future doesn't bode well. I'm not optimistic at all.
Well, a lot of young people feel like they don't even have a future because they feel like hey man, all those $20 an hour jobs everybody used to have, everything $20 and below is going to be being done by robots. So they're sitting there thinking, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for the rest of my life? And people don't know. People don't know what they're going to do.
They don't know. That's how you get radicals. That's how you get radicalization. There's a lot of problems that are going to come up with automation, shipping jobs to China.
It's the
lower cost standard of living.
It's the fourth industrial revolution. It's the fourth. It's the Fourth Reich. That's what Clyde Lewis was talking about earlier. Is it the Fourth Reich? Is it the Great Reset into the Fourth Reich? Were the Nazis ever really dispersed, or did they just go underground with the money and buy up all the publishing houses across the across the world? Look at did the Nazis lose the war, or did they just
the Nazis definitely lost the war?
Did they?
There were definite rat lines and connections, and a lot of old SS guys were friends with some of the SS guys, helped them escape.
Well, okay, let me ask you this question then. I'm totally being serious to you. I'm asking you this question. How do you prove that the Nazis lost the war?
Well, I would say that they were invaded. A lot of people were thrown in concentration camps and died. Like we kind of casually just victory in Europe is 1945 June, but that's not true at all for the Germans. Well, they were occupied for years, divided into 4 different principalities, which later became Western and Eastern Germany.
Right, but they amassed a giant amount of wealth and money over a period of time. And
there's no question.
And so
they looted.
That money is gone. Okay, that money is gone, and those people are gone. They don't care what you do to Germany because now what is there now? Now there's something called Israel, isn't there? So.
But I mean, your original question was, did Germany lose the war? Or did the Nazis lose the war?
They didn't lose the war because they took their stuff and left. They just gave up some real estate. They took everything that mattered and dispersed on these rat lines that you're talking about into the United States of America in a covert way. So, look at all these scientists. Just about every single thing that we had from a rocket standpoint pretty much came from Germany, didn't it?
Right, yeah.
I mean, all they did was just come over here and start making it over here for us. That's it.
Von Braun, yeah. They ripped off everybody, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
to a certain extent,
Hitler
I don't believe
Hitler didn't even die.
Really
Hitler didn't even die in Germany, man, in no bunker. He spent the rest of his days down in Argentina. And I mean, it's to the point where the History Channel is doing shows about it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think, obviously history, the way it's been portrayed to a population to make assumptions that we won the war. We didn't win shit, man. We bombed the rest of the world into submission. There was no industrial capacity left anywhere except America. And that's the only reason that we ever became the world reserve currency. So, I mean,
no doubt. America won the war. There's no question.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that money that was over there in Germany came over here. And a lot of that money ended up setting up infrastructure that we see to this very day that has become the behavior modification complex that we live in, and the stealing of the cognitive liberty and the lining you up. It's maybe it's going to be a delta symbol this time instead of a 6-pointed star.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll just find a new kind of symbol and then make it sinister.
Yeah. Well. It's in the microcosm. William Ramsey's here. You're here. And it's time for us to take that top of the hour break. I'm running late tonight, man. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm kind of spun out because I've been kind of going for a day now. Only had a couple hours sleep, and I got to do a big thing tomorrow, so I'm a little bit spun.
Take some questions, or we can wrap it up. Do you want to wrap it up?
No, I mean, we don't have to wrap it up. We got another hour on the show, but if you want to take off, you're more than welcome. Feel free to. But I'd love you.
It's midnight for me, man. It's late.
All right.
I don't usually stay up this late.
All right. Well, tell you what, William Ramsey, you come back and visit us again.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And tell everybody where they can find your book.
Book is at WilliamRamseyInvestigates.com or on Amazon. Title is Global Death Cult, The Order of Nine Angles, Adam Waffen, and the Slaughter of the Innocents.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There he goes. Thanks for joining us, brother.
All right.
Really
Yeah, thanks,
appreciate
man. Thanks for talking.
That was
to me,
great.
and,
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Take
nice
care.
to meet you, man.
Yeah, likewise. Nice to meet you as well.
Right on.
Take care.
There he
Bye,
goes.
bye, bye.
There goes William Ramsey. All right, you guys, let's take a quick break. Ready? Here we go.
Each night as I crawl along over the sands, I sift through the blood and the fog, head in my hands.
Monday through Friday, you'll find us right here, 10:30 Pacific. Immediately following the Clyde Lewis and Ground Zero crew, Wes, Ron, and of course the big man Clyde Lewis.
Make my way over the dunes, desolate and dry. The remnants of empires past, too stubborn to die. Morbid and familiar, each hell like the last. The grifters importune in hand, an insatiable grasp. Whispering in semaphore.
All right. Some more King Buffalo for solos. It's called Grifter. Off the Burden of Restlessness LP. Grifter. All right. Well, there he goes, William Ramsey. We're still here with Dr. Rowe and Epic Journeyman, and of course you, and we appreciate you being here. And so, you guys ready to shift some gears, man? Downshift into fourth, and kind of whine out a little bit here for a minute, because we were talking about the other day, Dr. Rowe. We were talking about these different scenarios that don't make sense. Like, we brought up, doesn't it really look like everything started in the 1800s, dude? I mean, honestly, it's starting to really look like there's just been
somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of seem like late 1700s, 1800s. Yeah, I mean, all the inventing, quote unquote, came around in the 1800s.
Yeah, it's just, and the thing is, what we were talking about was, think about this, man.
19th century Edwardian. And then you had like
think about this, dude. How many sandwiches does it take to feed 1 million people? So, like, for example, you'd have to be able to bake all that bread and slice up all that meat or whatever.
Did you ever see the documentary or the little thing that talked about how McDonald's came about?
No, but I just saw McDonald's from 1960 and it was 15 cents for a burger. 20.
Yeah, he was the guy that did the McDonald's. He was the first guy to try to figure out how to make a uniform sandwich or a uniform burger, and so he had very explicit instructions, and it's kind of an interesting story, but because nobody had ever mass produced something that was guaranteed to always be exactly the same. And so that was the niche. Now that's like no big deal. Everybody does it. But back then,
Right.
you know, that was a feat
It's a formula.
feeding the masses, and you know exactly what you're going to get. You know, and people were keen to that. They liked, you know, to have this predictable thing that was and you can go to any McDonald's and always know. And that was the only one in the country that you could do that. Every other restaurant all the restaurants were different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was no fast food.
That's the thing. That's the secret to success, man. Is you figure out how to make a burger and then sell 1 billion of that burger. Or how to make a cookie, and you just make that cookie over and over again. But it's a metaphor for everything. So the thing is you can be successful by making a cookie, whatever it is, whatever your cookie is. You know, maybe your cookie's writing a book, or maybe your cookie's music, or whatever it is. You know, you just find that cookie and just.
I mean, they took it really serious. Like, for example, I think McDonald's for a while. I don't know if they still do, but they had schools. You had to go, like, they had like a literal campus. You went to McDonald's school.
Yeah, well, I don't think the robots are going to have to go to those those schools. But, you know, what is that going to do? I mean, let me ask you guys a question. So would you say that, like, having these little low-paying, dead-end jobs when you're a kid, trying to save up your money for your car or whatever, that those days seem to be gone, man? Those kids don't even care about whether they have cars. They don't need them. They can just call Uber. You know what I mean? Why pay $300 a month for a car when you can just call Uber?
That's conditioning. I mean, like in San Francisco, they have those bikes and cars and scooters that you can just go up if you're a subscriber to the app. You just go, and your phone has got a proximity on it, so it knows, and you just walk up and bloop, and it charges to your phone or whatever through the app, and you take the vehicle and you drop it off anywhere you want and go about your business. So it's convenient, yeah. And then, you know, the Uber is the sort of middle ground. And then, of course, you have the autonomous stuff. But there's people, the younger generation out there in like South of Market, they're tech. Some of them are into tech and crypto and all that, and they make pretty good money. It's not like they can't afford a place, but they prefer to live in this dormitory style, community driven, community kitchen, communal area, common living type of commune space there at South of Market. And then they all go to work together, and they work and do their thing together, and then they, you know, all hang out together all the time. And yeah, I think the dynamic is they're young. And when I remember when I was younger, I wouldn't mind doing something like that for a while to check it out. You know, I would stay in a hostel or something if I traveled. I don't do that now, you know, but because I'm older, you know, it's like I don't want to camp out in a tent. I'd rather stay in an RV, but that's just me.
Yeah. Plus, you're not going to meet anybody sitting in your room by yourself in some apartment building, and you're paid $1,600 a month rent for like a 400 square foot.
The
apartment.
dynamic now is different. People, these younger generation, they don't want to own anything. They don't have any privacy, you know, and everything is very fluid. So on the one hand, they can get up and move around and go at a drop of a hat, but at the second, they don't have any property. And a lot of them are okay with that. They don't plan on buying any houses or owning anything like that.
Yeah, why?
So it's
it doesn't
a
make
different
sense.
attitude.
It doesn't make sense to people who, in the present to own a house, because houses are payments that you're going to sit there pay and for what? It's like people don't want to pay. Used to sit there and pay for insurance every month for, you know, one amount. Now you pay based on the amount of miles you drive.
And when you think about it, you know, when you really think about it, and you're like, you know, there's a mortgage, you're going to get a house, and your mortgage is like 30 years or whatever it is, 40-year mortgage, I don't know, 30-year mortgage. And by the time you pay that off, I mean, she's like, I mean, do you really want to commit to something for 30 years?
No,
I mean,
man. Not if you're 25 years old. You're looking at it and you're just going, man, why would I want to take $3,500 a month out of my pocket and throw it?
And then it's like, if you're older, by the time you get it paid off, you're going to be almost dead anyway.
Yeah, and there's nobody to give it to because you didn't have enough money because to have kids because you were sitting there doing nothing but paying for that house. Look in the future, man. They don't care if you own nothing and love it. They're gonna say hell yeah.
And I see these people that these people that pass away, and which there's far too much death around me at the moment. Yeah, it's way too common right now.
It is.
But no, it's like, all the stuff that people acquire means almost nothing a lot of times. It's like they gather all this stuff, and they do. Some people do good works and they pass things on, like their research and stuff like that. But really, in the end, it's just material stuff, and does it really amount to anything? All your little trinkets, all your little things.
It amounts to nothing, man. I used to go to the a lot of Goodwills and stuff looking for vintage shit, and I used to stand there and look at some of this stuff and think to myself, man, somebody got in an argument over this thing right here. It's like they bought it and they got in some argument. It was something for that family. Like two people in that house just went at it and they hated each other from that point forward. And to me, it's just something on the shelf at the Goodwill.
Or it belonged to somebody. They got old and it was sitting like collecting dust on a table in their house, and they for years, for decades, they got old, died. And then like the kids came in, didn't give a shit, and said, let's just sell everything.
They didn't know it was like the crucial thing that made his wife marry him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all these
he found it in World War II, like carried it when the Nazis were shooting at him, and there's like all this story behind it.
Exactly.
And, what the hell is this? Put it in the pawn shop.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, man.
That's it.
It's
it's trivial and it's.
But think of this now. If you had that group of young people and then a group of young people younger than them, and you just eliminated all the middle age and older people, wouldn't be that hard to have a great reset, would it? Because I mean, these people are just going to go along with it because they've never
that's the plan.
Grew up.
Logan's Run, totally. Logan's Run.
Yeah.
I think that's it. They don't need the older people. They can write them off. Robots. We got robots. We don't even need most of the young people, but the rest. There is well, no, I won't go into that. I'll give you the information when we go on to it next week. We'll talk about it first. But yeah, so go ahead.
Did you see some of that? Did you see some of that stuff about these nano routers that are happening?
Yeah, I did.
I saw that too, man. I want to talk about it too, man. I haven't gotten into it enough to look at it, but I've got white paper on it, so I know that it's a concept that's been.
Some hackers have hacked into some big companies, and they got some batch numbers.
Yeah.
And there's a site, I guess, out there where you can go and you can check out those numbers and see if you got a lucky lotto number or something.
Well, also
shooting for the moon.
apparently, it will give your precise GPS location of that identification mechanism that can be found via numbers on a list of people who have partaken in particular experiments for companies, so to speak.
Wonderful, loving companies. We love our companies.
Allegedly.
We really do.
Allegedly. Now,
where would the world be without companies?
One of the things I noticed that somebody pointed out was that the date on the upper right-hand corner of that Russian hacker speaking in Russian, his screen.
That one I don't really buy into.
Okay, yeah. So let me tell you, the date on his screen in the upper right-hand corner was April 21st. Was when that Russian hacker video came out.
The Russian hacker one, I don't really buy into because the information on the screen is, I forget what it was, but I remember seeing it before, and it's not, it's like HTML or something ridiculous. It's not something that's going to be, coming from that. It's some other stuff. I remember, I forget what it was because I saw this you said the date was April. I mean, I've seen that months ago.
Yeah.
But there is some new stuff. Some other hackers have come out with some new stuff where they literally got all the batch numbers and everything, and what they mean, like the good ones and the bad ones, and what the effects were. There's all that stuff. It's been collated and collaborated or put on a website.
Interesting. Well, we'll get into more of that next week when we can get a document cam on that. Epic! Can you get a document cam on that thing?
I got a document cam. Yeah. I was checking out something the other day that I accidentally found, and I'm going to link it here in the YouTube chat because I think it's really interesting if you haven't seen it yet. And we're going to talk about predictions for 2022 the other day on Friday, and I just happened to be scrolling around and I found this poster. It's the year 2022. People are still the same. They'll do anything to get what they need, and they need Soylent Green. So it's Soylent Green's 2022. But what makes it interesting is they got these trucks, and what do they have? That riot control on the front of the truck, big letters, right? And then all the people that it's scooping up are wearing masks. I mean, dude, right down to the mask.
Get
I'm
out
gonna
of
put it
here.
in the chat. Yeah.
No.
It's amazing, man.
Really? That is too much, man. And you know what, man? People were starving too, right? The supply chains were screwed up, man.
Right.
Need some man corn. Need some long ham. Man, you ever see? I've heard people, I've heard conspiracy theories about bacon. Man.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to get into it tonight because on YouTube, that's one of the things that will get us shut down on YouTube is talking about that particular.
Really?
Thing. Yeah.
Bacon?
Bacon, the old-fashioned way, though. Long bacon. Long ham.
Long ham.
Mm-hmm.
Long ham.
Exactamundo.
Really? That'll get you shut down?
Yeah, they don't like that for some reason.
Num 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 on the num num.
Yeah, the animalism thing. The animalism part with the C. That you say that. It's no good.
Num.
Hey, you guys jump in here. I'm going to go check the perimeter. We only got a few minutes left. If you're listening to this on replay, you'll be able to find the full show over where you find podcasts, Apple, iTunes, Spreaker, wherever it is, there it'll be, and go ahead and partake in it. Help yourself.
It's not illegal, though. The actual act of that is not illegal. It's weird.
Yeah, have you ever seen this proposed restaurant down in Los Angeles? It reminds me of that. It reminds me of that movie called The Freshman.
And the people behind it are connected. A couple of them are really weirdly connected to like politics and.
Did you see The Freshman with
Big
Marlon Brando and what's his nuts?
Vaguely
listen,
remember
here,
that.
let me just give you the premise of it. So it's this dude, what's his nuts? Like it's Ferris Bueller, that kind of guy. He looks like that guy, but he's not him. But he looks just like him. He's an actor of that time period. Anyhow, the point is he gets a job working for this restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant is Marlon Brando, obviously the Godfather. So there's this whole like Godfather vibe around this restaurant, like he's doing some weird shit, secret shit. Basically, the premise of the movie is that there's a restaurant and they sell, what they sell there to eat is endangered species only. So like when you go there, you pay like 50 grand for a plate of food because you're eating the last whatever whatever it is on Earth.
That's wow! What a sickening thing. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, what's
it's
really
like the Illuminati, though. That's what's so funny
Dude.
about it. It's a special group of people you have to pay top dollar for,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they meet in secret, and they go there, and you got Don Pardo singing the song. Here he is, your Komodo dragon.
Dude, they come out with it. They carry it like you're eating like some kind of thing, whatever it is.
Here's some Kentucky Fried Condor for you.
Check it out. They come out with it, and they bring out this cage, and they walk it through the room, and all these rich people are just sitting there doing these like quiet hand claps, and they go away and they come back, and these people are paying like 50 grand a plate, but really all it is chicken. They never kill one of the animals, man, because it's a bunch of suckers that'll pay a bunch of money to eat the last animal on Earth, man. And it's the same thing with long ham, man. They tell you it's that, you're down there to go eat it, but really,
It's just pork.
it's just chicken.
It's pork.
The other white meat. Okay, listen, I'll be right back. Hey, white meat. That rhymes. I'll be right back though. You guys jump in here. I'll be back. I gotta hit that perimeter like now. My molars are floating, so to speak.
Right on.
I shall return.
Yeah. This whole thing with this. Hopefully, maybe take a look at that Soylent Green poster. I mean, just get it, if you haven't had a chance, maybe we'll show it on the chat here later in the YouTube. But yeah, it's something else. I mean, the fact that it has all the people with the prominently featured the vehicles say riot control, scooping up the people all wearing masks. I mean, it is dead on, and it's the year 2222. I posted that on New Year's. I found that on New Year's Eve actually, and yeah, that's uncanny actually that they got most of that pretty much right. You know, now obviously there's not. I joked on Twitter. At least the ascots didn't catch on. That'd be terrible, right? Because he runs around with the ascot in the whole movie, right? But yeah, you've seen the movie, right, Dr. Rowe?
Oh yeah. I've seen it in a while, but maybe I'll rewatch it.
Yeah, it's interesting how they when they go euthanize people, because they just euthanize them, right? They let them watch a video or whatever they want, right? As they put them under, and what's his name? The old gangster guy, Edward G. Robinson, says, "Show me the way things used to be." Right, and it has a flowing, grass blowing in the meadow with the butterflies and trees, and because there's no trees anymore, right? And so we haven't got quite that far, but
yeah,
it's funny that 1973 they thought that that's what the world was going to look like now. They never in the world, hardly anybody predicted technology becoming what it is. You know, like the most surprising thing really is that the only movie that really kind of got it right in a way was 2001: A Space Odyssey. We don't have the ships in orbit and don't have the Pan Am flights flying up there, but we do have the artificial intelligence. We do have the HAL 9000. We do have that.
Star Trek was doing pretty good too.
Yeah. Star Trek did really good actually. Probably better than anybody. And that's probably because there's a lot more people working on it, and weekly show, right, and having ideas go back and forth, and they were really up with what was going on at the time. And a lot of stuff happened in the 60s. Most of the stuff that we have today was really made in the 60s. We're just getting the products now. But yeah, the phone's the one that.
And now, if you think about that, I was thinking about that. If something that you have today was already, something that somebody had in the 60s, that means that, let's say in the 1970s, we probably had spooks and the spies running around with, smart devices.
I'm sure we did, actually.
Did they have touch screens and high resolution retina displays for their super duper secret devices, way back in the 70s?
No, they didn't have that, but they had the GPS in 1986, right? That we know the satellites were launched.
Did the retina displays and stuff like that, did that come from back engineered technology that we had discovered from non-humans?
That's the story that is told by what's his name, the Groom Lake guy, right?
Lazar with solid
Bob Lazar.
state.
Yeah,
he says that's how we got solid state.
Yeah, it was all on the ship. They recovered.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that's going to happen.
Microchips on them.
That's a good question. The microchip came out. The first commercial one for public use was 71, right? But they existed before then. But I mean, that was the first commercial. IBM, what is it, 8033 or something like that? 8030, I forget what it was. But
and then of course then there's the metals, like you've heard of nitinol. Have you heard of nitinol?
I have not heard of nitinol. At least not off the top of my head.
Nickel titanium alloy. That I did a show on it. They did a research documentary on it, and the Navy actually had a department that was created back in, I want to say, the 70s or maybe late 70s, early 80s, to study this nitinol. And this guy had made a nitinol engine. It was the world's first solid state mechanical engine. And what nitinol is it's a metal that when it's forged, you can forge it in a shape. And then depending on the way you create it, temperature will then change its pliability so that
I do know it. Yes, I ordered one from Omni Magazine. Little piece they're doing giveaways. Yeah,
and you can make springs out of it and things. And they made a Nitinol engine with these little flaps that was powered by water, warm and cold water, and of course waste heat is very abundant. And he had this guy had this solar powered wheel that was running, and he said that it had been running for hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, and then and they said that it got stronger the more that it worked. These things, when you bend them, they should get weaker, and they were saying nobody knows why this is the case. And they had a guy from the World Bank and a guy from the Department of Energy, and they both said, yeah, this is going to revolutionize energy. The World Bank guy was on there, and he said, yeah, this is going to change the whole oil industry. And they, of course, sounded positive at the time, and then without any explanation, everything went black. The whole thing, the Naval Department, the studies, there was no more information on it. And I did a show on it. And so I looked up one of the guys on the documentary, this guy from the Department of Energy, and he had moved on and he was working in some other department, but I did get a hold of him, and I had him on the phone, and I asked him if he'd like to come on my show because I was fascinated with nitinol, and I noticed he was in the study way back when, and he's like, wow, that was like 20 years ago. And he says, you're absolutely correct, and that was a really good documentary. I remember when it was made, when they were filming that, we were talking about it. And he's like, I'd really love to come on your show. It really does seem like it's promising, but unfortunately, it's classified. And that's all I can say. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Have a nice day. Click. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was that. So there is this stuff, and I'm thinking with that in a combination of magnets, you could overcome the over unity problem, and you could compensate, because we can almost get there. We can get to just a really, really a gnat's brow away from over unity, where you're, getting more than you're putting in, but we can't quite breach that. But I think that if we had a push, if we have this nickel titanium spring action motor, and we have magnets in a clever design, we could overcome that. And it's just a matter of, just working on it.
I got to see it. I didn't get my copy. You know what I mean? It was like the first 1,000 or 10,000 people or whatever it sent in. I'm pretty sure it was Omni Magazine. I'm looking for it online now. Of course, that's a defunct magazine now. It's by Bob Puccioni, Penthouse's daughter.
I still have a few boxes of some Omnis in mint condition.
Yeah, the most famous article ever was the thermodynamics of pizza, which ended up being completely wrong. Some college student wrote, but that was the most famous for. So it was kind of pseudoscience in a lot of ways. But yeah, they gave away, and I was on the sub at the time, so it must have been 81 or after, and it was a machinist mate, a friend of mine, and we were down there in it's called AMR2, Auxiliary Machinery Room 2, and we were talking and brought up the magazine, and he sent in, I sent in, and he got his, and it was a little tiny strip. It was really thin. It was like maybe about 2.5, 3 inches long, and maybe a half inch wide. It was super, super thin. It was like less than the like standard construction metal studs. What was that, 20 gauge? Less than that. I think that's 20 gauge. But anyway, yeah, it was. You could bend it in shape and then heat it up, and it would snap back. And
yeah, and they found out the force that it snapped back at. They could make it so it's really strong. It was amazingly strong.
You're supposed to try to make an idea with it and send your ideas. Like they were looking for inventions. Obviously, it's still the invention, right?
Somebody's they're feeding off the public there. They're trying to scoop some stuff up.
It's still your idea, right? The idea he came up with probably the one most people would probably first think of, and it was for a relay, to use it as a relay, because obviously.
And one of the guys in the documentary was saying, he says, "Look, don't question, don't ask where it comes from. Just consider it a gift from the gods." And the implication there was that the gods, of course, were non-humans, something else. And it was some sort of alloy that they have created for whatever use. And yeah, I found it interesting that the Navy, they were going to create an engine that they could power indefinitely. I mean, probably for vessels or something that would require no fuel. It would be completely mechanical, so there would be no use to shield it for EMPs or anything like that. And yeah, running off of, let's say, just temperature change.
It'd be perfect for ships, actually.
Yeah.
You could have the submarine is actually your power source. I mean, so in other words, you don't have to be on the submarine. You're actually on the surface, but the submarine is actually a propulsion method. It'd be towing you like a pod racer, right? And what it would do is it would go up and down the thermocline, right? So it needs to charge it and give it a push. It'll go below the thermocline where it drops dramatically. When it needs to snap back to its original position, it go through the thermocline and then snap them all back. It'll just keep doing that. And that would be a propulsion source. It would absolutely work 100%.
Oh, absolutely. That in and of itself, the simplicity of creating a vessel with fins and things created from that nitinol that would basically just run off that temperature change in the water up and down and have a motion that would create kinetic force. I mean, yeah, it's elegantly simple. I've already got ideas in my head. Like I said, with magnetics to compensate, and using solar and my goodness.
Yeah, because the Navy used for a long time on surface ships this variable dipping sonar. I mean, what do they call it? Well, it's the dipping sonars from the helicopters. Variable, I forget what they called it now. And it was I'm a sonar tech, but I was a submarine sonar tech, so we didn't use them. But the idea was it did that. It went beneath the thermocline and used active sonar. So the model of having that is it totally makes sense because that you could do that the other direction and use it as a propulsion source. But this thing that needs no power, it just needs temperature changes because there's probably no more dramatic temperature change that's manageable, right, than knowing where the thermocline is. I mean, the variance will be different depending on what ocean you're in and time of year and all that kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely an exploitable resource, no doubt.
Yeah, and I remember the last thing that the Navy said they were going to do is they were going to upscale the engine that this guy had made. He had made the world's first Nitinol engine, solid state engine, and the Navy was going to take. He was from I think it was from MIT or something. I'm not sure where. The documentary's on YouTube. You can find it. And the Navy was going to upscale that and make this giant version of that. And then all of a sudden, the whole department, poof! What Nitinol department? There's no Nitinol department. Go about your business. Nothing to see here.
What's a real thing? I mean, I held it in my hand, dude. It's definitely a real thing. I didn't know what you're talking about.
Get it. Yeah. They call it memory metal.
Yeah.
There's a couple different kinds. There's some they call super nitinol, but it's nickel titanium alloy, and you can find it like a lot of times in a novelty shop. You can get it in little strips and stuff, because it's fun to play with. And it turns some of them they can get, depending on how it's made, it'll be like if you put it in warm water, it'll get wet like a noodle. And then when you put it in cold water, it'll snap back with the force of several hundred pounds.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's obviously an available thing to use. I mean, there's all kinds of applications. I mean, I just made that up on the spot, right? So imagine, a team of engineers working on it, and more importantly, an actual good use for artificial intelligence here. Put it to the task of creating things that'll exploit the range, properly and choose the right shape even, to make a cast of it, basically, what you need, and use 3D printing basically to put it together. I mean, so you're limited only by your ability to create it, right? I mean, what your process, basically. So there's really no limit to what you could make. I mean, so. And wouldn't that work also in the atmosphere as well? I mean, you could do almost the same thing, right? Where
I think so.
You make a glider, essentially. It'd be like a bird flapping its wings, but in slow motion, right? Maybe combining solar panels and things on it as well to give you the power, but then, hit one altitude and then, come back down and go back up.
You could probably make it into a generator, like, this guy had a wheel that was spinning and it was getting stronger. And, if you put the right pieces, you can create a generator. I mean, you could put magnets and, create a magnetic field and an electrical field. And have, if the generator doesn't have anything except temperature change of water and or sun or something to power it, and it creates electricity that can then be funneled and used for something else, then, there you go. So if I had a bunch of money, I'd have a lab.
If I had a hammer,
I had
a
10,000.
hammer in the morning.
Well, they
You know
used
what?
to, it was a gentleman's thing, right? Back in old London and all that stuff back in the day. I mean, if you were in the elite upper class, everybody had a lab, That's what's so funny. They show like the movie The Time Machine. You go watch it now. And that wasn't yeah, it wasn't that odd at all. People did. They had their own private laboratory. They did tinker.
What's
right?
Frankenstein?
It's alive.
So, we got about 15 minutes left before the end of the show tonight. And so, Dr. Bill, you're welcome to cruise on by tomorrow. We're going to be broadcasting for 12 hours tomorrow, raising money for the Kev Baker show and the family of Kev Baker. They really need our help. So, we're going to be kicking back starting at 9 a.m. We're going to be going till pretty much all day. And then we'll close it out on our normal show time tomorrow night at 10:30 Pacific. So we'll be raising the flag for 9 hours. Kev Baker was 45, so he's 9, and then he passed at 7:20. That's 9. So tomorrow we'll go 9 to 9, 12 hours. So you're welcome to stop on by. So ladies and gentlemen, you can go over to GoFundMe and look for the memorial for Kev Baker. It's called the Kev Baker Memorial. We're trying to raise $5,000 for the family to help them out to get through the next period of time here. Kev wasn't doing shows, so he wasn't really bringing anything in. Wasn't any new shows going on. So if you can help out, it'd be good, and we'd appreciate it. And if you've thought about it before but just couldn't, now you can. Maybe now's the time that they really need it. So maybe all those times you didn't, now if you do it now, you can, feel good about that because they really need it. It's not like, it's just some, it's not just, they're not trying to get the word out or whatever, I'm not trying to sell you a master program for all the information that they didn't tell you. Here's 300 more bucks, and they'll tell you the information that they didn't tell you on the show every day. That wasn't Kev Baker,
Into
man.
the microcosm wars.
Exactly. Well, that's never Kev Baker's style either, man. He always went against the grain, man. If it didn't smell right, he wouldn't promote it, man. You know what I mean? And that's something to be valued in a world that we live in today, man. Because most people will go for the money. Like if you watch Survivor, they put all those people on that island and whatever. So the hero wins the $1 million, but, in order for that hero to get the $1 million, he's got to do all this dirty shit. Eat food in the middle of the night, sneak around like a rat, listening to people's conversations and plotting and scheming or whatever. And that guy's the hero. So you got to, how many years was that show on the air? It kept people's attention and taught people behavior just like any other behavior modification complex weapon that's thrown out there on us, don't you think? Haven't they really made the bad boy the hero now? They made women want the bad boy, and now there's a sea of women that think every man is a narcissistic, serial killer around the corner. Ready to slap that ass or whatever. I don't know. The thing is, bad boys are usually narcissistic, wouldn't you say? So, you create this role model of the bad boy. You get a whole sea of bad boys and women that are attracted to them, and then you get this whole secondary agreement reality where every man is a love bombing narcissist. He doesn't really love you. It's just a love bombing narcissist. try to trap you into some harmful relationships. It's a death spiral, wouldn't you say? There's no way out, man. It's like this spinning turd that just won't go down in the punch bowl. You flushed the punch bowl, but the turd just won't go down. You see what I'm saying? See, that's why you shouldn't have let me talk. See, I've been up for so long now. The filters are now all off, and you're getting
Right.
It's Jimmy
Save
unplugged.
that stuff for the perimeter.
It's fucking it's gene therapy right now. Jimmy Gene Therapy, that is, on Aftermath FM in the middle of the night. Thank you, Mr. Gates, for a beautiful poster. I passed it around. It's out there. We have about, I don't know, 12 minutes left. Let me mosey on over to the GoFundMe and see how far along we are and how many people have stepped up. Even though we're not really in the full promotion mode yet. Clyde was so gracious and beautiful tonight to share a lot of experiences about Kev, because one of the things, Dr. Rowe, one of the things that I wanted to make sure didn't happen is that a lot of people in the alternative media that spent their whole life doing this and didn't get anything out of it except for hard times, man, no money. You know what I'm saying? Just beat to a pulp, man, absorbing this shit every fucking day. And as soon as they die, you don't hear a peep about it, and the channel just gets changed or whatever. The next show comes on. And I just don't want that to happen to anybody that I know. And Kev Baker is one of my best bros, man. So I'm going to make a big deal about it, So I'm sorry, if I'm making too big of a deal about it, but for some people, but, it's too bad. Because we all deserve, you remember that guy Alan Watts?
Alan Watt, yeah.
That Scottish dude, not the philosopher.
I know who Alan Watt. Yeah, he went on with Alex Jones every once in a while in the earlier days.
Well, Alex Jones ripped that dude off for so much of his
Canada.
Yeah, that dude is the OG, man. Yeah. And Alex Jones ripped that dude off, man, for so much of his research. Tried to pass it off like Alex did the research or whatever. Just watch some of Alan Watts shit for a couple of days or whatever. But no, he was on his videos and stuff, and they got into a fight. And then Alan Watts just kind of went off, and nobody ever heard of him again. He was doing broadcasts.
Yeah, he still did his own podcast.
Yeah.
He always,
Yeah, but people didn't really know about him anymore because he was off the scene. But the point is when that dude died, nobody barely even fucking said a word, man. That dude, I swear to God, his website's still up there. You can go see his website. It's going to be just like Kev Baker. The stuff that's on Kev Baker's YouTube channel. Most of the really super controversial shit, he had to go back and fucking delete it all. Dude, he deleted years of material because he had 100,000 subscribers and YouTube fucking demonetized him for some shit that he said on there. So the only way that he could get his channel back, he had to go back and delete all those episodes, man. So I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just saying, he was one of the good ones. He's one of the, like I said, man, he followed the truth wherever it went, even if it didn't go along with what people liked, man. He uncovered that Q shit at the very beginning. They busted it years ago. So there was no doubt in his mind whether Q was real or not. He went that way all those years ago, and this is when it was hot, man. It was bad to say anything against Q at this time, but he didn't care because he knew it was bullshit. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, Dr. Rowe, man, you put a lot of work and time in the alternative media just the same, man. If anything ever happened to you, I'd do the same thing for you, bro. And let me just say, man, we were talking about what was it called? Something universe.
Unirock.
No.
Oh no, okay.
No, Mr. Rowe. What was his show called? The what universe?
Strange Universe?
Yeah, Strange Universe. See, that was a great show, man. He was a good dude. He got fucking thrown into the fucking slammer and all that. And he got sick, you know. He got lucky and he got let out, right?
Yeah.
Is he back out now?
He is out. He was on my show 2 weeks ago, my Thursday show.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, so we had Sean David Morton, not this last Thursday, but the Thursday before that. And it's in the archives at revolutionradioarchives.com, Reality Extraction.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we're going to probably do another reunion show with Sean and a bunch of his old producers and some hosts or whatever.
Zaralath.
Yeah, Zaralath is one of them. Sometime in the very near future. I see Zaralath is over on the other network.
He is? Where is he? He's over where?
Over on Truth Frequency.
Get out of here. Really?
Yeah.
Nah, I'll check that out, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, go over there and you'll see I saw Zaralath. I guess he just started over there.
That's trippy, man. That's a trip. I'll check that out. That's funny. Zaralath's a friend of the show. He was on when I was on Revolution Radio. I used to bring Zaralath on a few times.
He's one of Team Strange.
Yeah, well, it was funny, man. Because the way him and Sean were, you know, the vibe between them, man, the way they were interacting, it was fucking really good, man. And Sean had some really sarcastic shit on there, man. Like, he did a bunch of bits. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Sean David Morton and Strange Universe show. And, you know, he was a broadcaster for a long time. If you hadn't heard about him, there's, you know, we could do a whole show just on his career as it is, you know, as it is. I mean,
It's crazy.
no, I mean, honestly, he's the original. He is actually the original person who came up with the whole Barbara Bush, Aleister Crowley thing. Everybody,
Sean's the guy that started taking everybody to Area 51.
That's what I mean. I mean, Sean David
Art
Morton.
Bell and all that.
People don't realize, people go around saying Barbara Bush is Aleister Crowley's daughter, and every single person who says that is saying it because Sean David Morton was the one that brought that out, man. And the people say it today like it's 1 + 1 = 2. Is that not a trip? I mean, people will say that just as quick as they'll say they found dinosaurs in the frozen tundra with tropical vegetation in their bellies, or whatever.
If you want, we could get him on. We can have him come on with us on one of these nights. If you
Yeah,
want.
man, I'd love to, man. See if he'll come on next Monday.
All right, I'll ask him.
Yeah, man, that would be great, dude. No, listen, you know what? Remember when he used to have his website and he used to make predictions and shit? I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll tell you, this is the honest to God truth, man. This is honest to God truth, bro. He predicted that original NASDAQ stock market crash almost to the number, dude. I mean, it went down to 2,200 or whatever it was. I mean, remember when NASDAQ was all the stocks were super high on NASDAQ? Everybody was buying into these companies that didn't even exist. He literally predicted that shit, man. What was the name of that website he used to have? It's called the Oracle something, or what was it? It was something. He had this website where you could subscribe to it, and he had like a newsletter each month where he'd make these predictions, dude. What was it called? It was called something, the Delphi something. Delphi.
Oh. Yeah, something that I forget what it was.
Oh, dude, I used to go there. When he comes on, I'll tell him this too. When he comes on, because it was like a newsletter. You had to pay for it to get it, you know. And like I say, he predicted that stock. He predicted a bunch of stuff, that stock market thing. So you would pay for it normally. But I went on there and I typed in Delphi for a password.
We crossed,
Dude.
Sean and I crossed paths at Terrence McKenna's house way back in like the 80s, and I didn't even know who Sean was. I just thought he was just some guy who's kind of like loudmouthed and flamboyant. At first, I didn't like him.
He's totally wild, man. I'd be killer if you could get him to cruise by, man. That'd be
Is that
really
Terrence
fun.
McKenna's house on the Big Island, or is that still on the mainland there?
No, that was out here in the Bay Area. It was here in California.
Yeah, he moved to the Big Island the last
and
part
he
of his
moved
life
to-
there.
Yeah, then he moved to Hawaii with his brother, and they had that farm or they were just into like, what was it, pharmacological, studying all the herbs and things.
Yeah, it wasn't too far from where my house is. I wonder if it got destroyed in the lava eruption a couple years ago. I'll check into that.
Well, don't to get destroyed in the lava eruption tomorrow during 9 o'clock a.m. Aftermath FM. It's where we're going to be. Lots of people are going to be here. Ryan Gable's going to be here. Dr. Kevin McCarron's going to be here. Ben Emlyn Jones is going to be here. Charlie Robinson's going to be here. Nano Girl's going to be here. Sharon. Billy Ray Valentine. Clyde Lewis is going to stop by. It's going to be a party. We're going to open up the phones. You'll be able to call in and say what you want about Kev and pay your respects. And like I said, if you can, please head over to the memorial for Kev Baker. It's called the Kev Baker Memorial. It's on GoFundMe. Hey, what's up, TalkStream Live? We're number 5 and still alive. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific. And then, or tomorrow night. Or in replay. Have a good night. Thanks for being here. Dr. Rowe, thanks, bro.
All right, man.
See
Thanks,
you. And,
Doc.
yeah, let's get one of those smart contract discussions going, bro. I'm excited to talk about that because I think it's really interesting. We should become citizens of Asgardia, and then
Get your passport, right?
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. All right.
I'm tempted to that,
I know. Well, it's only what? How much does it cost? $50? I think it just costs $50, man, and you're in. No joke. You pay $50 or whatever it costs, and you're in there, man. You don't even have to mess with it. You're just out of there, man. You get at. That's it. You say see ya. All right, we say see ya just like we're saying see ya right now. Oh, hold on.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds.
It's Ryan Reynolds. He's stopping by. Ryan. GTFO, bro. We don't want to hear about your cell phone company. All right. I'm getting punchy. All right. We'll talk to you guys later, like in the morning. 9 hours from now. No, 8 hours from now, I'll see you. Maybe I'll get some sleep. Maybe I won't. But if I don't, it won't matter. You know why? Because I'm full of energy with the energy that I need to complete the task at hand, which is to honor the man, the myth, the legend himself, Kev Baker. That's right. All right. Hasta luego. Hasta lasagna. Don't get none on you.
Am I truly sound? Oh, is this supposed to be? I don't know. These old ghosts are haunting me. Why won't they leave me? I am trapped by the powers that be. These old ghosts drive me relentlessly to paralyze me and sabotage me.
That's Pale Summit, Old Ghosts. Man, I'll tell you what, that album kicks ass, man. Just about every track on there is like that. Check this shit out.
For a soul. My shallow
Here, I'll put the link in the chat. But only if you go over and drop some money over on the GoFundMe. No, I'm just kidding. Hold on a second. Only 115 people have listened to this song, man. Just so you know. I dug this bitch out, man. I scoured the earth for this bitch like Cain. I walked the earth to find this record, and then out of this record, I scanned every single track with a discernment only a microscope could attain. And I came out with this ass kicker of a track right here. Old Ghosts. Listen to that shit. Plus that singer's got a pair of balls on him. You know what I mean? He's not wearing spandex. He's letting his nuts hang like gravity. All right. See what happens when I run wild, run free late night? We're off the air over there. I'm only here with you guys on YouTube. All right, listen, I'm getting punchy, so it's time for me to exit stage left, and not a moment too soon. Epic Journeyman, you want to say goodnight?
Night, everybody. Happy New Year.
Oh, wait a minute, I didn't hear you. Say it again.
Happy New Year, first show of the year.
There you go. First show of the year. Now, are you going to be able to pop in by phone tomorrow?
Maybe. Yeah, we're doing a lot of work tomorrow, but
Don't you maybe me. Don't you maybe me.
Well, I mean, after work, I definitely can, but I might find a way to sneak away.
Don't you Jimmy me, Jules. Don't Jimmy me. All right? When you came pulling in here, you see a sign that said, you ain't going to call in tomorrow? You know why you didn't see that sign? Because that sign ain't in here. Because you're going to call in tomorrow, aren't you? You'll find time. You'll find time. You'll make time. You're the man. You're the myth. You're the legend. You're the sound man. You're the Silver Surfer, man. You're the Submariner. You're all rolled into one, brother. You better call in. All right,
Planted the seed.
All right. See you later.
When he's around, anything can happen, and usually does.
Be nice.
Help this gentleman to the door.
Until it's time to not be nice.
So says the fighting philosopher.
As the 21st century began, human evolution was at a turning point. Natural selection, the process by which the strongest, the smartest, the fastest reproduced in greater numbers than the rest, a process which had once favored the noblest traits of man, now began to favor different traits. Most science fiction of the day predicted a future that was more civilized and more intelligent.
We talking about peace. A piece of yours, a piece of mine. A piece of mine, one nation, under a groove. This is a world premiere. This is a world premiere. This is a world premiere. This is a world premiere.
I done war outside and a bomb in the street and a gun in the hood and a mob of police and a rock on the corner and a line full of fiend and a bottle full of lean and a motto on a scheme, yep. These days of frustration keep y'all on tuck in rotation. I duck these cold faces, post up, feed 5-4 for bases. Dreams are reality's piece. Blow steam in the face of the beast. The sky can fall down, the wind can cry now. The strong in me, I still smile.
I love myself.
The world is a ghetto with big guns and dick inside.
I love myself. I got a bone to pick. I don't want you monkey mouth motherfucker sitting in my throne again. I'm mad, but I ain't stressing. True friends. One question. Bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the legs off him. Kunta, black man taking no losses. Oh yeah. Bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the legs off.